Hello, I have just been looking at the Code Interpreter plugin for GPT4. The beta version has just been released a few days ago. I thought I would put it through its paces, and so I uploaded this file here. What it is, it's some results I took in March with the experiment you see in the picture, where you take a little ball bearing and you drop it through some golden syrup, and you time how long it takes to fall a certain distance at terminal velocity. And you then use the Boltzmann factor to work out the temperature dependence model, and you get a very good fit to this Boltzmann factor model. You can work out the activation energy. Anyway, I didn't give GPT that whole file. I just gave it some raw results. Where are we? Yeah, this, not that, that's my original one, but I gave it this. So as you can see, I have deleted any reference to the Boltzmann factor. I haven't even taken 1 over the temperature or plotted ln of the rate or anything. I've just given it the Kelvin temperature and the timing results here. And that is what it has had to work on. So you can see that it, first of all, runs it through. So what Code Intepreter does, I think, is it writes some Python code to analyze the data. Notice that it's cleaning up the data, which I had a variable number of repeats. So that's not quite straightforward, but it takes a few passes to clean up the data, and then it actually explains. So you can see it's working out what the data is. Remember, I haven't really told it what the data is. It works it out. And then it suggests that we could do a simple scatter plot of temperature versus time, which is exactly what you might expect a kind of standard A-level student to do in the first instance. So, okay, let's do that, ChatGPT. Now is it going to? Oh, look, it's done that. Yeah, curve. Using MATLAB there, library for Python. So I'm going to give it a hint now. I'm going to say, well, why don't we use the Boltzmann factor? That's all I tell it. I don't say what to do with the Boltzmann factor. I just say, why don't we think about the Boltzmann factor and how that might improve the model? And look what it does. And this is the most impressive bit of the whole sequence, in my view. With only that hint, it then comes up with exactly the model I had in mind of how the Boltzmann factor might affect the rate of fall, and even immediately sees what graph to plot. Yes, please do that. Another MATLAB library there. There we are. And you can see that straight line plot as you might expect. And it interprets it correctly. So let's do a linear regression. And I tell it to output a downloadable file, which is a good tip I picked up from a YouTube channel about how to ensure that you get what you want. There we go. Yes, there we are. So it picks out this value of just under an electron volt for the activation energy, and then it does the graph with a line of best fit on it. Okay. So then it produces an Excel file. That's not very enlightening, that Excel file. I'll show you what it is. That's the file it's outputted. And notice that it's got some extraneous columns here. I don't know what that thing on the left is doing here. And the significant figures are all wrong. So, no marks for GPT on a A-level practical investigation. But look, it's got this extra column for 1 over t. It's got the ln of the rate. So it can work out an appropriate model and plot a graph. Could it also produce the whole write-up? First attempt, just can you produce a write-up in the form of a downloadable Word document? And it's very happy to do that. It uses some Python library there to produce a Microsoft Word document. And here it is, and I'll show you what it does. It's very brief. It doesn't include the results table or the graphs or anything like that. It just has the findings there. It's what I would expect a pupil who had never done a practical write-up to do. Although it does have sections, it could be worse. So, what else can we do to make this better? Well, what about uncertainty? Yeah, we always like uncertainty. And it plunges into this standard error thing here, which is, it's probably not really appropriate for the limited number of repeats here, but here we are. And it has this function here for the uncertainty of the line of best fit, which it applies. And it comes out with something that seems reasonably plausible, about 5% or so. And then it says, let's add it to the Word document, and it produces the uncertainty analysis, and here it is. Oh, no, not this one, sorry. Here it is. This is what it puts in the uncertainty analysis. Okay, so it still doesn't have the results of the graphs. So what can we do? Let's put those in, and then it chugs through that. And I also gave it an image to insert, so it did all that. Not just uncertainties. This is what it now did. It just stuck all the things at the end. Oh, look at those significant figures. So no table layout marks for you, GPT. And then it's given the graphs here, and it's just stuck all the images at the end, which is not what we want. And we should clean up the significant figures as well. So let's just tell it to do that. Please trim the results to an appropriate and consistent number of significant figures and put the pictures where they ought to be. Yes. And here is my result from that. Oh, look, it did put the picture at the beginning, which is where you'd hope it would be. And then it puts the graph here, which is reasonable. It still has the results at the end, and it's made some sort of effort with the significant figures, although it's still not quite consistent. But at least that's a lot better than it was before. I mean, honestly, I was very impressed by this. As a teacher, well, if a pupil worked through this using it as a tool for guiding their investigation, it could teach them a lot. But of course, you could also imagine a pupil using this to essentially do their investigation for them. It could be really useful in real research. But you could imagine, again, people just feeding stuff to GPT and blindly following it without really understanding what it was doing. So, but it's just to me, I was not expecting it to do this well. I was not. Word of warning. I went away for 20 minutes and did some other things in other windows, and it sort of lost its environment state. So when I came back and tried to do error bars, it couldn't. So you probably want to do this all in one sitting to avoid this sort of problem. It didn't take long. It took about 10 or 15 minutes all in. So this is fast. Play around with it. The beta version of this was just released a day or two ago. So this is first cut. Who knows what it'll be like in a year or even in a month. Enjoy.